clog. Now all the clogs that we do here, we do just for demonstration purpose. These ones that I'm wearing around and the ones that are hanging on the back wall and the ceiling above, they're all made in Holland and we import those ones in. There's still about 5 million pairs of clogs still sold around the world today. They're not as bad as they look once you're used to wearing them, and they're very good for keeping your feet nice and dry and nice and warm whenever the ground's cold and wet, which is very handy out there again. They'll keep your feet totally dry until, of course, they end up looking like this poor old fella here. It takes about 6 months of constant wear to wear them down to that stage. They won't last forever. Wearing them every day as we do, and walking on that gravel road outside, for us, about 6 months. And that's what you'll end up with. Most people would never wear them down that quickly, I might add, but if you're wearing them every day, you see the gravel you've got in the bottom there, that's what you're going to get. Now, when a clog maker would make you a pair of clogs, he'd start with a block of freshly cut poplar. Now the timber that we use here is locally grown. It's grown in the Kempsey and grafted areas. Originally, this was grown to make matchsticks from in the 50s and 60s. Since then, they're not being used for that anymore, and they're basically in these areas going idle. Most of this timber has a lot of faults in it. This piece looks okay, it looks fine. But if you have faults in your timber, this is sort of stuff that can happen to your shirt. And you can imagine if you started wearing that around, the whole thing's just going to fall apart. Also, really important the timber be fresh or green. You can see how fresh the timber is on the end there. As it dries out, it really starts to become difficult and hard to work. So we start with our, hopefully, fresh block like this one here. In the good old days, the old clog maker would start by chopping a rough shape with an axe until he had something that looked a bit like that. Then once he had that rough shape, he'd then work his way around the block with what's known as a hook blade to get it to a smooth enough shape where it stands up. Now a hook blade is these. This multiplies your strength by about 5 times by the actual length of the blade. We hook that under there and he then work his way around the block until he got exactly what he required on the outside. Now you can see that I can work away at that fairly easily. That's because of the moisture that's in that timber. It's almost like rubber or paper. You can see it's really pliable, but it's still green. When it dries out completely, it just breaks, becomes very brittle, and it gets to the stage that you have to throw the timber away. Now, I won't sit and wheel this one here for the next hour or so, which it normally take to get the outside shape cut. Here's my trusty machine in the corner here. This one will do the outside shape of the shoe. Takes about 1.5 minutes to do that, compared to about an hour or so working with the blade. So we'll set this up and we'll start to get underway. Now, when I'm setting it up, best place to see it from is basically where you guys are. If you guys just take a couple of steps straight back. So we'll throw a bit of soil up the ground. Anywhere out there is good. As long as you can see that part of the block there, you get a really good view of it taking shape. Now, both these machines that we have here in the barn, they were made about 1942. Before these were made, it was all done completely by hand. To make a pair by hand, you're looking at about 5 hours work. These are a little bit quicker than that. These can make a pair of shoes in around about 5 minutes. So they're a bit quicker than doing it by hand. How the machine works, we have a template on the back, which is shaped the same as the outside shape of a clog or a shoe. That template and our block of timber will both spin together, and hopefully, all going well, we end up with an identical shape, the same as that template sitting there in about 1.5 minutes time. This shoe we're doing this afternoon is a size 21 right, and that's for a child around about 9 or 10 years old will fit into a size 21. If anyone's brave enough later on, there's yellow ones at the back of the room over there. If you've got the courage, you can go for a bit of a wander about. The trick is they have to be very loose on your feet. They've got to be so they just slide on and off. As you can see by mine, they just sort of flop around, as you can see. I can get about 3 fingers in behind the heel. That's how they have to be. If they're too tight, you'll soon know you've got 2 lumps of timber stuck on heavy legs and you won't go very far, I can tell you. Okay, here we go. There we have our outside shape board. You can see how really fresh that timber is, by how dark it is. As that'll dry, it will lose all those colours completely. It's going to lighten down to be about the same colour as those ones there.
What's the timber?
That's poplar.
Poplar. Oh yeah.
Grown around Kempsey, grafted originally to make matchsticks.
Yeah, that's it.